Welcome to Stratford-Upon-Avon, a town synonymous with William Shakespeare and brimming with historical intrigue. But behind the thespian glamour and Tudor architecture lies a series of tales that would make even the bard himself hesitate. Today we're diving into the ghostly undercurrent of this famous English market town to uncover the 5 most haunted places that have both residents and tourists whispering about the supernatural. So, grab your torches. It's time to meet the ghosts of Stratford-Upon-Avon. Nestled in the heart of England, Stratford is a town steeped in cultural and historical significance. It sits upon the banks of the River Avon, just 22 miles southeast of Birmingham and 8 miles southwest of Warwick. The town itself dates back to at least 1196, when it was first mentioned as a market settlement, and has since grown into a thriving community, with a rapidly expanding population hovering around 35,000. This is a place where the past and the present coalesce. Medieval streets run alongside contemporary shops and restaurants, and timber-framed houses from the 16th century stand alongside modern housing developments. The Royal Shakespeare Theatre, more than just drama. The RSC in Stratford-Upon-Avon is central to the town's arts culture. This is where countless Shakespeare plays have been performed over the years. After its redesign in 2010, the theatre has become renowned for its outstanding performances where actors deliver Shakespeare's lines with exceptional skill. And if rumours hold true, it's also where the perfumed lady, a ghost from the 1700s, makes her silent cameo. A former carpenter makes the following recollection back in 2018.
I was working on putting up a set in the theatre, and I smelled perfume very strongly. So strongly that I thought it was one of the other workers, till they said something as well. It was like a vertical column of scent, rising directly upwards from a certain point, and then it just disappeared.
A front-of-house assistant had this to say about her own experience working in the theatre.
I had a close encounter with the perfumed lady a few months ago in the upper circle. During an evening shift, myself and another front-of-house assistant sensed there was a presence in the auditorium. I kept hearing the sound of creaking floorboards. At the interval, my colleague asked me who had been walking up and down the lobby during the first half of the show, and I said, "No one." In the second half, I continued to hear creaking floorboards, but there was no one there. Suddenly, out of nowhere came this most beautiful smell. It enveloped me for a minute, and I held my wrists to my nose in case I'd forgotten my own scent, but it was nothing like what I was wearing. Then, just as abruptly as the scent came, it melted away. Later, I was told of this ghost called the perfumed lady, who I'd had no knowledge of, and I felt even more spooked. I've worked in the same place since, and felt nothing like the strange atmosphere I felt that night. Also, more strangely, I've walked along the floor behind the seats where the floor creaked on that night, and it doesn't creak at all.
The anecdotal experiences of theatre staff and patrons who claim to have encountered her, whether through scent, sight, or sound, only deepen the mystery of the perfumed lady. As with many ghost stories, the lack of concrete evidence and the reliance on personal testimonies mean that the truth behind the perfumed lady may never be fully uncovered. But with cold spots and that eerie feeling of being watched, many are sure she's still performing her ghostly script night after night, leaving her to remain one of Stratford-upon-Avon's most captivating and enigmatic figures. The Old Thatch Tavern, spirits serving spirits. At the Old Thatch Tavern, it's not just the ale that's on tap. This charming pub, dating back to the 15th century, has its fair share of ghostly patrons. Regulars talk of a shadowy figure that frequents the bar, vanishing when approached. Others hear the unexplained clinking of glasses and soft murmurs in the dead of night. According to local law, a man named James Pinfield, while trying to escape a group of Irishmen, rushed into the tavern for refuge. They caught up with him and dragged him out, where they killed him. It's said that his spirit still lingers in the pub. There are also tales of 2 other ghosts in the tavern. One is a previous owner, George Birch, who supposedly died in 1810 after a drunken fall down the stairs. His ghost is said to cause disturbances in the upper rooms, often heard making loud noises or moving furniture. The other is a woman named Mary, who was killed by her husband in 1821. She supposedly haunts the lower rooms, often heard screaming or crying. These stories suggest that the bar is frequented not just by locals, but also by spirits of the past. Visitors and staff alike claim to feel sudden drops in temperature or the sensation of being watched, while others recount moments where objects seem to move of their own accord. Despite these eerie occurrences and tales of chilling encounters, the tavern maintains a welcoming charm, retaining its long-standing place in the surrounding community. The Haunting of the Swan, an apparition in grey. The Swan Theatre, nestled near the Grand Royal Shakespeare Theatre, plays host to more than just actors. It's also home to the mysterious Grey Lady. Witnesses, including security guards, claim she turns the bridge lights on nightly, defying their attempts to keep them off. Each time the lights are extinguished, they reignite by the time the guards return to the stage door. Despite thorough checks, no timers or tampering with the switches have been found. Inexplicably, regardless of efforts to keep them dark, the lights always flicker back to life, as if by her unseen hand. Pippa, a retail merchandiser, shares her own encounter with the apparition.
I was opening up in the old Swan shop on a Sunday morning, which included unlocking the Swan Gallery doors and turning all the lights on. We used to have a TV in the corner of the shop where you could see a CCTV feed of the upstairs gallery. While I was in there, I was looking at an old costume, and I remember feeling cold, but nothing else out of the ordinary. When I went back downstairs, a colleague said that she was surprised to see someone viewing the gallery so early. I said it was only me up there, but she said no, there was a lady standing behind me while I was looking at the costume. She had seen her on the CCTV. She told me she saw an old woman in a long grey dress standing behind me as I looked at the costume, but there was definitely no one in that room other than me.
Stuart, a freelance photographer, experienced a similar incident during the demolition phase of the old building's renovation. Isolated in the foyer for security reasons, he noticed a woman in a grey dress descending the stairs as he checked his camera.
It was during the transformation project when the old building was at the height of its demolition stage. I was working alone, taking photos in the foyer, which was sealed off from the rest of the building for security reasons. I was walking towards the fountain, looking down at my camera to check some shots I had just taken. As I walked under the clock in the foyer, I looked up to see a woman walking down the stairs. The curve of the staircase took her out of sight for a couple of seconds, no longer, by which time I had reached the fountain area to see she had vanished. There was simply no way she could have gone back either up or down the stairs without me seeing her. She had appeared as a real figure, and now she had gone. My impression was that she was wearing a greyish dress and had quite dark hair. She certainly seemed real, too real to be a shadow or reflection.
The mysterious occurrences surrounding the Grey Lady at the Swan Theatre continue to intrigue and unsettle those who encounter her. Although she's a ghost, she seems to affect real things. It's unclear if she's looking after the theatre, if she's a ghost with some business left, or just a mystery tied to the old place. Her appearances continue to add to the theatre's history. The lights that keep turning on by themselves, the strange sightings and eerie presences taken together. They keep her story alive, making people wonder and doubt at the same time. Harvard House, where the past lingers. Harvard House, with its distinctive black and white timber design, is a classic example of the buildings from the Elizabethan era. Built in 1596, its grandeur is a testament to the prosperity of its original owner, Thomas Rogers. In fact, he and his wife etched their initials into the house's front, marking their legacy in wood and stone, which can still be seen to this day. But this house isn't just a building. It's the ancestral touchstone of John Harvard, the man who gave his name to one of the world's most prestigious universities. The Harvard story traces back to Catherine, daughter of Thomas Rogers, who wed Robert Harvard in 1605. Their son, John Harvard, a minister, emigrated to Massachusetts with his wife, Anne Sadler, in 1636. His bequest and books to a new Cambridge college earned it his namesake, Harvard University. Aside from its historical significance, Harvard House is also known for eerie experiences reported by visitors. People often speak of seeing an apparition, a figure clothed in Elizabethan attire, standing silently by the windows as if watching the world go by before vanishing when someone attempts to take a closer look. Cold spots are another common occurrence. with guests suddenly enveloped by a chill that seems out of place, even on warm days. These cold spots move and are often felt in different parts of the house, leaving visitors with an eerie feeling. The sensation of being followed is perhaps one of the most common and unsettling experiences being reported. Some individuals have described feeling a presence following them around as they move through the rooms. Whether these experiences are echoes of the past or mere figments of the imagination, they continue to fascinate and spook those who walk the creaking floors of Harvard House. Those brave enough to visit cannot shake the spine-tingling sense that they are not alone, that the Harvards, or their spectral counterparts, might still wander these rooms, perhaps guarding a legacy that transcends time. Anne Hathaway's Cottage. Love Never Leaves. Last on our tour is Anne Hathaway's Cottage, a 12-roomed former farmhouse in the village of Wilmcote, on the outskirts of Stratford-Upon-Avon, where the wife of William Shakespeare, Anne Hathaway, lived as a child. The house is said to have a sinister presence in one of the upstairs bedrooms, and passers-by have seen what they believe to be the ghost of a female through one of the upstairs windows. One sightseer remarked,
"I'll never forget the chill that ran down my spine when I looked up and saw a woman's face in the window. It was so clear, yet filled with such sadness, as if she was longing for someone's return."
It's also said that the spirit of Shakespeare's wife, Anne, can sometimes be seen tending to the garden or standing by the window, perhaps waiting for William's return. One staff member commented,
It was almost dusk, and the garden was in full bloom. That's when I saw her, a figure in period dress by the roses. There was such a profound sense of waiting about her. It was beautiful, yet heartbreaking.
Whether you believe in ghosts or not, the stories from Anne Hathaway's Cottage are certainly strange. Even if you're skeptical about phantoms, the history and these strange tales give the cottage a unique charm that draws people in from all over. The Last Haunt, Stratford's Spectral Epilogue. Stratford-Upon-Avon is a town where the past refuses to be forgotten, a place where ghost stories are as plentiful as its ancient cobblestones. Our journey through each of the haunted spots we've covered today reveals a rich tapestry of the town's secrets, grisly deeds, hallowed legacies, and romantic echoes that blur the boundaries of reality and myth. Whether you're a staunch skeptic or an eager ghost hunter, these locations promise an experience that's anything but ordinary. So, are you ready to walk the haunted paths of Stratford-Upon-Avon? Let us know in the comments.